What's up, everybody? Welcome to TJ's Wrestling Rants. So yeah, I would have liked to have come at you and been like, yeah, I watched a good old wrestling pay-per-view tonight. At the beginning of it, I thought I would have said that, but by the ending of it, I was like, what a pile of shit. Long story short, um, first off, obviously, this is a review for WWE Fatal 4-Way. First match would have been Kofi Kingston versus Drew McIntyre. And Theodore Long had to come down to ringside and watch the match. Overall, I thought the match was a little sloppy at first and during parts of it, but the match was good. It does have some story to it with the Theodore Long and the Drew McIntyre and everything. And the match ended up going. It was going pretty decent. The referee got knocked out, and Drew McIntyre um, did his finishing move to Kofi Kingston, and then he demanded that Theodore Long come in and put on the referee shirt and count to three. So Theodore Long eventually took his time. He got his shirt on and went to count to three, and he counted two. And then when he was about to do three, he wouldn't count it. And then Drew McIntyre went over to him screaming out, "You better count it! You better count it!" And Matt Hardy, aka Fat Hardy, came out and did a twist of fate, and then took off, and then basically Kofi Kingston hit Drew McIntyre with his spin kick move, and Kofi Kingston got the 1-2-3. So thought for an opening match it was pretty decent, especially compared to Over the Limit. WWE's last pay-per-view was, well, let's just say, in my opinion, probably the worst fucking pay-per-view I've ever fucking watched. And I watched it for free, so. But I mean, tonight I was in the mood to watch wrestling, right? The match started off. I was like, yeah, that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Second was the Divas. I don't like how the Divas are anymore. I don't like the way they're portrayed. Like, I'm not saying Gail Kim has to be the champion at all times, but Gail Kim, I've seen a lot of her wrestling, and she can do 10 times more and better than they let her do, and they just kind of restrict it, and, they keep it kind of slutty, but there's a PG aspect to it because apparently now if you do Playboy, you get fired from the company. Whereas before, Vince McMahon wanted every chick to do fucking Playboys. So, you know, but it was, it was Eve versus Gail Kim versus Alicia Fox versus Maurice. Long story short, it's a Divas match. Hotties, but whatever past that. And I was hoping, maybe either Eve would retain the title or Gail Kim would win it, but Alicia Fox won it. So for me, it's just another blah. Get to stare at a few hot chicks, nothing that special. But yeah, so that's the second match. Third match was an unexpected match because it wasn't announced. It was Jericho versus Evan Bourne, which I thought was a pretty decent match. Um, and Evan Bourne ended up in the end hit the shooting star splash or shooting star press to Chris Jericho, and he landed on him. He did it with Jericho was on his stomach, so his back was up, and rolled him up for the 1-2-3 and got the win. I thought the match was pretty good. Jericho came out at the beginning, did a good Jericho rant, and then went into some of the whiny shit. And at points, the crowd was chanting Y2J. The crowd wanted Y2J or Chris Jericho to win more. And I'm hoping with the way it was looking that they'll push him more towards the Y2J angle, but it just, to me, also seems it doesn't matter what us fans want. WWE does what they want nowadays. They're not listening to the fans, and we'll get to that more in a minute. But Evan Bourne got the win, so that's cool. I like Evan Bourne, so that's good. Fourth match was the World Heavyweight Championship. Rey Mysterio versus CM Punk versus Big Show versus champion Jack Swagger. It was a decent match. At the before the match started, it showed the promo with Kane talking about how Undertaker got hurt and coming after the people who did it and whatnot and all that happy shit, and it's good promo build up for that. It's funny how they can have like Kane, which is evil and psycho and all that kind of storylines, but choking a guy with a tie is way different, other than having a sadistic monster. But hey, here now in between, we're on the World Heavyweight Title match. Um, yeah, the match was decent. It wasn't like anything like, oh my fucking god, or anything. What in the WE is anymore. But It was funny because Rey Mysterio was down on the floor, and Big Show leans over, puts his hand around his head, and you know Ray jumped a bit, but he did. He palmed him, and he picked him up from the floor, brought him over the rope and into the ring. That shit was funny, man. Um, the match was decent, had some good back and forth action, and during the match, Kane came out and he was bringing a casket with him, and he went in the ring and he grabbed CM Punk and he chokeslammed him into it, and he was going to take him away in it, but Luke Gallows came out and saved CM Punk, and then they ran away, and Rey Mysterio ended up getting the pin, and yeah, so Rey Mysterio's the new World Heavyweight Champion, which, it's cool. I mean, I like Rey Mysterio. I respect Rey Mysterio, right? He's been a dope-ass wrestler. I've seen so many matches of his, and I got a lot of respect for him. He's a great wrestler. But it's hard. I mean, like, he's against guys like Jack Swagger, CM Punk. You know, him and CM Punk worked really well together and all that, but in a match against, like, Big Show and, just little... It just doesn't seem right. You know what I mean? Rey Mysterio can take a shit kicking in that, but it's like, oh, come on, and Big Show would grab him and bam, right? So it's hard, right? I mean, Rey Mysterio's champion, that's cool, but Rey Mysterio would be just as popular if they didn't give him the World Heavyweight title, and he could be a kiddie star, which is great. All the kids love him and all that. He's good. I think he's, got a good character in that, but I don't think he needs to be World Heavyweight champion. Anyways, my opinion doesn't matter. So on we go to the fifth match, which was R-Truth versus Miz. Miz came out and kicked some R-Truth beats, and he did his own rap to it, and it was funny. It was more entertaining than when R-Truth does, because it's boring and it sucks. Match was alright. I thought Miz carried most of the match, and at a few points in the match, the crowd was chanting, "This is boring." So, I mean, that's not a good sign. Crowd was really dead during the match, and you could basically tell that they just wanted the fucking match to end a story. There was a few cheers for Miz. Miz is awesome, but there's more, "This is boring," and yeah, they wanted it over. Miz wins, long story short. Match was nothing special at all. And then there was another unexpected match. Well, it wasn't announced on the main card. It was the Hart Dynasty and Natalya versus the Usos and Kamina, which is Superfly Jimmy Snuka's daughter. It was alright. Started out alright. I like the Hart Dynasty, but overall, I thought the match was crap. Natalya rolls Kamina up for the pin, and that's about it. The coolest part of that was for me to learn that Kamina is Superfly's daughter. Other than that, it was like, yeah, whatever. And it brings us to the main event. Fatal 4-Way for the WWE Championship. John Cena versus Edge versus Orton versus Sheamus. And with all the hype coming in, with everything that's happened on the Raws, with the NXT and everything, I mean, even if Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson got fired, they still had some good angles and some good stuff. I was really hoping he wasn't, but I'm starting to think he probably was, just because of how stupid everything is. But they came in, they tore Raw apart, they shook it up, and even the next time they came in, they kicked some ass in the end. Throwing Bret Hart in a car, and now Bret Hart's hurt or whatever, and it doesn't know when he can come back or whatever. But it was ruckus, and it was good. It was creating some intensity and some unpredictability. You know what I mean? So. And in the Fatal 4-Way match for the World Heavyweight title, there was no disqualification. The match was alright. It was nothing special. Back and forth action between everybody. And I ain't got much to say about it more than 3/4 of the way through the match, NXT starts beating up on a few guys backstage. And I was like, oh, cool, here comes NXT and kick some ass or whatever, what's going to fucking happen? And they come out, Orton gets attacked, Cena's getting beat up, and then they start beating up on Edge in the corner, and then Sheamus runs in, pins Cena, jumps off into the crowd, and then they go in, they beat the crap out of Cena, and then they look up Sheamus at the top of the ramp with the title. They chase after him, he goes behind the scenes, they go, I figure, oh shit, there's more coming. Cuts to John Cena going, oh, in the ring, cuts to Orton, oh, Edge, oh, pay-per-view rolls, done. And at the end, the crowd, I'm 90-odd% sure of this, was chanting, "This is garbage. This is garbage." Huge letdown. Overall, my opinion, pay-per-view sucked ass. WWE, pull your head out of your fucking ass.